the George Floyd community unrest in Minneapolis and in major cities throughout the United States. Guys, we're going to get into it in just a few minutes. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you will get all things DutyRon when I do go live or upload videos. Again, I'm a retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years in the New York City Police Department, one of the largest police departments here in the United States. And I would like to welcome each and every one of you in the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to take a moment to share on a community post, and we will get right into it. Hello, Sleeping Beauty. Hello, Luke. Good to see you, Mahid. Salam. Hello, Tammy. Patty. Good to see you, Berg Strong. Mrs. McJagger. Susan Walls. Life of MC. Everybody's piling on in. Thank you so much for coming. John Smith, good morning. Good morning, Kathy Drew. Sleeping Beauty. Riley Day. Thank you so much, Julie, for catching me live. Let me just make sure the camera is good. I'll put that down just a tad bit more so you guys can see just a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, I didn't have that set up correct. I'm going to move this so it's not in the way. Let's put this over here. I think that's good. Yeah, I didn't plan to go live this morning, but I had to come live because I was watching the news. Guys, hello, Helen. Good to see you, Nancy. Life of MC. Welcome in all my channel members, my Patreon supporters, my subscribers, the new, old, and people just joining. I appreciate you coming in. Again, for those of you who are new, DutyRon is my name. Retired New York City Police Detective, 20 years in the police department. And we have a major community unrest going on throughout the United States. This is a very disconcerting issue that I spoke about on my previous live stream. There's no question us good law enforcement professionals all stand together and condemn the action that was taken against George Floyd. He was murdered in police custody, hands behind his back. We've all seen that video, and I have, again, I'm mortified by it each time I see it, and I try not to look at it as much as some of my friends have been looking at it. I just feel that it does an injustice to all the good law enforcement that are throughout the world, not just here in the United States. It makes the job of the good guys out there that much worse, as we see unfolding on national TV. Thank you for joining, everybody, for coming in. Helen, J-Cat, Peggy K. We're all sick over this. We're all sick over this throughout the world, not just law enforcement here in the United States. Law enforcement throughout the world are talking. I'm in the chat groups with private law enforcement chat groups, and I see the conversation, and the conversation is that we did not sign up for this. When I became a police officer, and this is just my personal experience, when I became a police officer, I became a cop not to become rich, not to get get an early retirement, a 20-year retirement. Those were part of the things that were perks, the retirement at the end of the road. But we really sign up for this job to become protectors, to uphold law and to protect the innocent. To serve and protect is an honor, and it's a privilege. When you raise your right hand and you swear on an oath to protect life and property, it's a real serious oath that you take. Life of MC, thank you for the super love. So I just wanted you guys to understand that the good ones, the good men and women that put on the uniform every day, that respond to your calls when you are being beaten, or if your home's being robbed, or if somebody's committing a crime, we go and do that because we want to help. And the overwhelming majority do want to help. It's just these bad apples, these bad seeds that are out there, and we need to weed them out. There needs to be major change to the recruitment and retention process. And I feel that, our training, at least my training in 1991, that's 29 years ago, was good. Our progression of force training was clear and concise, and it was very extensive. You had to pass the deadly physical force test. Otherwise, you couldn't become a New York City police officer. So Mama Ames, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you to everybody. I wanted to do this chat so we can have an open conversation. And I just want to tell you that tonight at 9 p.m., I'm going to have Dr. Darren Porter. Dr. Porter is a good friend of mine. He's a retired New York City police lieutenant. He's a black male. He's an African-American. He's a great friend of mine. Like I said, we go out and we still hang out and talk on a regular basis. We had lunch about 8 months ago. And, you know, I sit down with him and we talk all the time about law enforcement and policing after our retirement. You know, him and I went through the academy together, and he is also a Fox law enforcement correspondent. So Dr. Darren is going to join me tonight via Zoom at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk about the George Floyd case, and we're going to talk about what's unfolding in America and what is going on throughout our country. Thank you so much for the super love. Thank you, Life of MC, for the super sticker. Yes, Nan59, in a perfect world, Nan and Evie Bubbles, thank you for joining. Muka77, hey, I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for joining. You know, in a perfect world, we would have everything would be peachy and everything would be smooth and everything would run without a hitch. Wilma, good to see you. Thank you for joining. I'm used to communicating you with in the comment section, but it's great to see you in the live. Time for Change says, what a horrific murder. Just can't understand how the protesters are destroying their own. And that's what brings me to my next clip. Liz Rivera, thank you so much for being in here. Liz, love and respect to all joining. So my message is clear. Thank you, Red Like Wine. Be careful driving. Johnny Smith, great to see you. Again, my message is clear. You know, I said on my very first video about this situation how repulsed and angry I was at the 3 officers who stood there and watched the 4th officer put his knee in the back of George's neck and on the side of his neck, cutting off his air supply and effectively killing him on camera in a 7, 8, or 9 minute clip. The clip that we all saw and that we watched or heard of is deplorable, disgusting, disgraceful, criminal. It's murder on camera, and we've seen that for the first time in clear and in a concise manner. So I am here to tell you that I, as a retired law enforcement professional, I am so disgusted by it. I'm so sickened by it. It makes my skin crawl when I see that. But I know that that comes at a heavy price tag, not just for George Floyd and his family, but for the people of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and all of the people of the United States. Because now we see fires burning in Minneapolis. The police precinct is burnt down. So now lawlessness can effectively happen. You're seeing stores that are being looted. You're seeing signs up in stores. This is a black-owned store, and they're either going to leave those stores alone, or they'll be the only stores that'll be left standing. And you'll have a city that's burnt out around these stores, and there'll be no business for anybody to be had. So the people who are doing this, that are rioting and looting, are really doing a disservice to their cause and the community, to all of our cause. We want change, but now we don't have a venue to have change, because now you have the military, the National Guard, the state police coming in with assault weapons and riot gear, and it's really not a good forum to get your message across. If you guys understand what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm saying, that's where the danger comes in, and the long-term loss for the rest of the community to heal. There's going to be no time to heal, because everything is going to be burnt down. And you have cities like here in New York City where you have riots potentially brewing, and people spitting, throwing garbage cans, throwing rocks at the police. There's gunshots that you hear being fired in the background. We've even had a CNN reporter arrested on air, which I will show in my video tonight with Dr. Darren, and we're going to go over that. We're going to talk to it, because he is a correspondent, a law enforcement correspondent for Fox News and CNN and the Daily Mail, and a lot of different programs. So I'm going to try to get his take on what happened to that CNN reporter. It looked like the whole crew was taken into custody, but I'm hearing that he was the only one that was charged. Thank you for that super sticker again. Life of MC, a great friend, a channel member, a Patreon supporter, and a content creator. So everyone check out Life of MC's channel. She's over in the Philippines and a great friend. So again, guys, I'm speaking, obviously from a clear head, and I think that it's important that we understand. Mimi, good morning. Hello, Sleeping Beauty. Thank you for joining. Nancy, Eileen, thank you for joining. So I'm going to play a quick clip of Dr. Darren Porter. He is a retired lieutenant. He will be live with me tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern on my channel. So if you guys have any questions for him, make sure you come with good questions. We'll have a 15-minute Q&A period. I agree, Astro. I agree. Thank you to my moderators. This is reminiscent of the LA riots. This may get worse than the LA riots, Toxic Orchid. I hope that it doesn't. Inner Peas, great to see you. Thank you, Nan59. Nan, I get what you're saying, but is this the answer? Is rioting and burning down stores and buildings and decimating a community the answer? I don't think it is. That's my personal opinion. You guys can have your own, and I get it. I'm doing the broadcast, so I'm giving you my opinion. I don't see anything good coming out of burning down stores and Targets and the places where you get your drugs from your drugstore. I don't see, and I think a lot of it's being done by outsiders, not people from within Minnesota. I'm sure there is an element from in Minnesota that's doing it, but I think a lot of these people are outsiders that are coming in there. So, again, I'm having my coffee in the Jesus is the Gift mug sent to me by one of my good friends, Platinum Mimi, and I'm having my last cup of coffee. Beth, thank you so much for joining from the great state of Illinois. It's great to see you. Definitely not the answer, JDN. Carolyn, it will get worse if they're not charged. I think it's going to get worse whether they're charged or not, but I don't think that helps that they're not. I was hoping for an arrest yesterday. I'm hoping today that the governor of Minnesota comes in and takes charge and makes that arrest through the prosecutor's office. So let me play the clip from Dr. Porter. That's from yesterday. This was before the precinct was burnt down. This was from last night, but I'm just going to play you a little clip of his work so you guys can see who I'm going to have on tonight. So let's go to that.
This is a Fox News alert. Minneapolis in flames. Rioters seizing the city's 3rd Precinct headquarters, setting the headquarters on fire as calls ramp up for charges against officers in the wake of George Floyd's death. Here to discuss, former New York City Police Department Lieutenant Dr. Darren Porter. Darren, good morning to you. As you look at what is happening there, a tragic death, and they are investigating. But at the same time, in the 3 nights since then, there have been, starting with protests, then there was rioting, then there were looting, and people are burning down stores and homes and things like that. It seems like some bad actors are using this as a time to burn down their own community.
Absolutely. We're biting our nose to spite our face. And the truth of the matter is you are destroying your own communities that you live in, and ultimately you're impacting negatively upon yourselves. We need to come together in a peaceful accord and protest accordingly. And in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's really setting us back because we drastically need these funds to bring these communities together as opposed to going backwards as a result.
Of course, there are a lot of people in Minneapolis who feel that George's death is the result of, and it represents the systemic racism, they call it, that is exhibited by parts of that community, and in particular the police. They say, you say that while there should be a call for calm, ultimately, as the investigators and the prosecutors say, okay, we're going to have a thorough investigation, at the same time, the district attorney's made it pretty clear he's going to take his time. Why is that?
Well, I believe the prosecutors are referring to the teachable moments and what happened in the Freddie case in Baltimore. They rushed into it too quickly, and as a result, the officers weren't prosecuted accordingly. So they want to go into this smartly. Therefore, they're taking their time, they're making the proper assessment. Therefore, they can introduce the appropriate charges.
Now, this man is a good friend of mine. We trained together. He is a smart person. You hear what he's saying. This is a law enforcement professional, retired lieutenant from the New York City Police Department. Him and I did 20 plus years in the New York City Police Department. Like I said, we trained together, and he was a lieutenant, a supervisor. He worked in the Internal Affairs Unit. Okay, so Darren is well versed in police and the public disparities and the use of force and everything therein. So he's speaking from experience. He's speaking from personal knowledge and experience. And he is a black police officer, and he is a great human being. I'm honored to have him as a friend for over 29 years. So what he's saying is true. This is, biting your nose off to spite your face. This whole situation is not going to go anywhere good through violence, burning down buildings and decimating your neighborhood. So, again, it is difficult at best. Viola, thank you so much for joining. Nobody's putting you anywhere. You're here. I can see your comments.
So justice can be administered as a result.
I agree, Julie. So let's listen to that one more time. This is a quick thing for those of you who are new joining.
Sunday, live on FS.
I'm going to spare you the commercial. I'm going to spare you the commercial. I have to play the commercials, so they get paid for their stuff. So let's let that roll now. Here we go. Good gravy. Where is it? Come back up. I know there's no sound.
It's in flames. Rioters.
Here we go, guys.
This is a Fox News alert. Minneapolis in flames. Rioters seizing the city's 3rd Precinct headquarters, setting the headquarters on fire as calls ramp up for charges against officers in the wake of George Floyd's death. Here to discuss, former New York City Police Department Lieutenant Dr. Darren Porter. Darren, good morning to you. As you look at what is happening there, a tragic death, and they are investigating. But at the same time, in the 3 nights since then, there have been, starting with protests, then there was rioting, then there were looting, and people are burning down stores and homes and things like that. It seems like some bad actors are using this as a time to burn down their own community.
Absolutely. We're biting our nose to spite our face. And the truth of the matter is, you are destroying your own communities that you live in, and ultimately you're impacting negatively upon yourselves. We need to come together in a peaceful accord and protest accordingly. And in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's really setting us back because we drastically need these funds to bring these communities together as opposed to going backwards as a result.
Again, folks, listen to what Dr. Porter is saying here is during the middle of a coronavirus COVID pandemic, we now have the National Guard, the military, and state police down on the ground in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Nobody is complying with social distancing. There's people that are on top of each other. And we know from news reports, the black community and some of our most impoverished communities have been hit so high with coronavirus cases. This is a fact. I'm not just saying this to bring it out, but it's the truth. We have a huge spread of coronavirus in these communities, and now you have total anarchy going on. You have no law and order, no civility going on there. You have fires burning overnight, multiple buildings on fire. people who have small businesses, people who have larger businesses are now have no source of income. Their stores, their livelihood, their resources that feed the community are now cut off. I will show you video tonight with Dr. Porter. I will show you video of how decimated the city of Minneapolis is right now. You're looking at a war zone there. It looks like it was bombed out by an air raid. That's how horrible it looks there now. So this could be, God forbid, coming to a city near us. Look at New York City. It's a melting pot. It's a powder keg. Look at Ohio. Look at what's going on in some of the major cities across America. The LA riots with Rodney King, Michelle, were pretty much confined to that generalized area. You know, there were peaceful protests and there were some non-peaceful protests, but they weren't burning buildings down in other areas. You have a bunch of people that are angry and misguided in what's going to get something done. And the unfortunate part is that the narrative is out there that it's time for an uprising. And let me tell you this, you know, when you look at the powerful force of the military against society, that's not the way that we want to see this go. And, you know, I hope and pray that does not happen. And Dr. Porter, Darren will be on live tonight at 9 p.m. to talk about that with us. And, you know, it's always good to get other people's takes on this, but it doesn't look like it's a good thing going on. Nancy, I get it. Not yet. Yet is the key word. Seagate, thank you for joining. JN Gulf Coast. Guys, if you're new into my channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all one word, DutyRon. And also, if you are new, join my Facebook group. It is a police and crime chat group and a YouTube video share group. There's two groups that I have on Facebook. And also, if you're really interested in getting everything DutyRon, you can check out our Discord group. Go on to DutyRon.com where you'll find everything, links to a lot of different stuff. Tabby, I agree with you. Those four cops were just, it was heinous. It was a heinous act. It was something far beyond anything I've ever would imagine could happen here in the United States or anywhere in the world. Kalo, thank you for being in here. I appreciate you coming.
Of course, you know, there are a lot of people in Minneapolis who feel that George's death is the result of, and it represents the systemic racism, they call it, that is exhibited by parts of that community, and in particular the police. They say, you say that while there should be a call for calm, ultimately, as the investigators and the prosecutors say, okay, we're going to have a thorough investigation, at the same time, the district attorney's made it pretty clear he's going to take his time. Why is that?
Well, I believe the prosecutors are referring to the teachable moments in what happened in the Freddie case in Baltimore. They rushed into it too quickly, and as a result, the officers weren't prosecuted accordingly. So they want to go into this smartly. Therefore, they're taking their time. They're making the proper assessment.
Yes, Seagate,
Therefore,
yes.
they can introduce the appropriate charges so justice can be administered as a result.
I found a way.
All right, guys. So let me segue back on to the home screen. Thank you to all my new channel members. Mama Ames, thank you for becoming a DutyRon channel member. I greatly appreciate that. Dawn Marie, appreciate you being in here. Thank you for joining. Guys, if you haven't shared this broadcast, please share it out onto your social media. This is an opportunity to have a conversation with someone who has walked the walk and talked the talk. I served with dignity and respect for 20 years. I consider myself one of the good guys. I effected over 1,000 arrests during my course of time as a New York City police officer, and that includes my time in the warrant squad. And I never once had intentions to hurt anybody that I came into contact with. As a matter of fact, my prime objective was to have the most clean and nonviolent interaction during an arrest as possible for my safety, for the people who are around me safety, that's the homeowners and the people who are around while I was effecting an arrest, and for the subject I was arresting. I wanted to bring that person to jail and have the law process go through with the most clean possible way without having anyone get hurt. I never once ever went out with an intention or a thought of hurting somebody. I went out with the intention of protecting and serving with dignity and respect. Courtesy, professionalism, and respect is what my motto was and my department motto was. And I'm proud to say that I never had a substantiated force complaint against me in that time, and I effected over 1,000 arrests. So I'm not just patting myself on the back. Those are facts. Dr. Darren, my friend, who is a retired lieutenant, he worked in internal affairs, and he actually jokes with me about that. He said, I've looked at your file, and there's no file to see for you, DutyRon. So I'm proud of that. And, this is an example of, I'm just trying to make you guys understand that there are good and bad in every profession. There's good mechanics that will tell you when you need brakes and when you don't need brakes. But then there's the bad ones that'll tell you you need a brake job when you have 80% left on your brake pads, because you have to trust that person. So policing is a matter of trust within the community, within the people that you serve. And I could tell you this, a lot of the people who I arrested, and, because I worked over a decade on the same beat, I was in the same precinct for over 10 years. Some of the people who I arrested would go to jail, do their time, whether it was 2-3 years or whatever it was, and they would get out. And I would see them when they would come out. I would be on the beat. I was there for a decade. So if someone went and did a 3-year or a 5-year bid upstate in a state prison, they would come out. And I had more of them come up to me and say, hey, officer, I want to thank you. You saved my life. You put me in check. What I was doing was wrong. And I had that happen. And it's a good feeling, because that's a part of protecting and serving. That's a part of service. To be this guy that goes out and brutalizes people, and there are police that are out there doing that, is not a good thing. And all of us good law enforcement people, we despise and hate the other officers that are into that. And if I ever came across that, a heavy-handed or an officer that was not correct, which I'm so glad that I really didn't come across a lot of that. The men and women that I work with, Retired Irish Detective is probably here. We were on the same page. My precinct, all the guys and girls that were in my precinct were on the same page. We wanted to do the job, get home to our families, and have the least amount of struggle doing the job. So again, I will review the chat because it's hard for me to watch all the comments. Gayla, good to see you. Inner Peas, Winky Whispers, Evie Bubbles. I will review the chat. Any disparaging conversation or anything that's really not respectful towards me or anybody else, I'll rectify that at the end. So no worries there. But I'm just asking my mods to keep an eye out on the chat. Don't block anybody for expressing their opinions, because I'm all about that. I really think that we are on this type of forum where we could talk about it. Ron, why is it taking so long to arrest these men? They want to do it the right way. Mrs. McJarry, I don't know if you listened to the clip that I played twice, but Dr. Porter said that they're trying to not make the mistake that they made in Baltimore. In Baltimore, Maryland, they arrested the cops, but they weren't able to successfully prosecute them. So they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's, so when they take them into custody, they can successfully prosecute them. So they're really looking to tie the knot and tie it tight, so this way they can have an effective prosecution. So that's why, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see an arrest today, because over the weekend it's going to get really not. It won't be pretty over the weekend, that's for sure. But we do have the National Guard there, so I pray that these people that are rioting and burning these previous 3-4 nights going on, I pray that these people get smart and understand that now the military is there. The National Guard operates under a different set of rules. Our military, their laws of engagement are a lot different than the police, local police. Hanging with Mr. J says, that's why it's so hard. Hold on. That's why it's, where did it go? That's why it's so hard to know who to trust, Mr. Ron. I understand that, hanging with Mr. J, and there's got to be, I've been talking about this for 10 years. There's got to be a change in the process. You shouldn't be able to just graduate the police academy, become a police officer, and not have checks and balances during the course of your 20, 30, 15, or whatever year term you have. I think every year there should be retraining, there should be in-service training, and there should be monitoring. There should be a special unit over and above internal affairs and all of these self-monitoring. I feel that there should be a separate unit, and this is a whole new conversation, but I think that there should be checks and balances be instituted in keeping or weeding out the bad ones and keeping the good ones and giving praise to the good ones that do the right thing. We can't have all of the good cops, male and female, that are out there getting pelted with rocks and bricks and having urine thrown on them and having, people disrespect them. If they're doing the job right, they should be praised for it. But the ones that aren't, those are the ones that should be able to be brought to justice and weeded out. DutyRon, so do we want to make arrests of people in order for others to not burn down cities? Is that really the threshold we want to use? Listen, Khalid, at the end of the day, we can't allow a city to burn down. Law and order is there for a reason. So we don't have anarchy. We don't have people taking over cities. So as hard as that is to grasp right now, and everyone's going to have an answer to that and come back and say, hey, our police are killing us, that's not necessarily the truth. It's not a blanket statement. Yes, we have these incidents. These incidents are unacceptable and should never happen, but they do, and it needs to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is if something changes. So it can't be status quo, but the change and the answer is not rioting and lawlessness. Because when we have a society that has no rules and guidelines and no law and order, now you can be walking out in the street and you can have someone jump you and beat you and rob you, and then you're gonna have no police respond. There's gonna be just gangs of thugs, street gangs of people that are gonna run neighborhoods, and that's not how it's gonna go. All right, so at the end of the day, we can agree to disagree, but I'm just saying I know how this goes, and if there's nobody there to keep law and order, you're gonna have complete and total chaos. So I'm going to look at the comments for a second and welcome each and every one of you. Goldie Con, hello. Emily Flolita, thank you for joining. Winky Whispers, thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Astro Haterade, thank you for coming in. Life of MC, thank you for your support. Josh, thank you for the super chat. Amy, I agree with your statement 100%. So yeah, this is a long conversation to have, and there's no right or wrong, but I could tell you this, the wrong is definitely apparent and obvious, and it's not going to do any good to sit and talk about nothing getting done. If we could have a conversation and things are getting done from the top to the bottom, goes to the police chiefs, to the mayor, to the governor. Everybody has to get on board and have,
Thanks for sharing.
A real conversation, guys, a real conversation and an action to that conversation. Everybody's sick of talk, we want some action. We want some guidelines put into place so this won't happen, So it is very, very sad. It's very disheartening. It makes all of us sad. I mean, I'm looking at comments of people that are crying and sobbing over this. It's very, very disheartening, and it's traumatizing to see what happened. If that can happen in Minnesota, then it can happen anywhere, obviously, as we all know. That has to stop. And the stopping part is not just by talking. It's to put some kind of rules in place or some type of checks and balances so whereas that doesn't happen. And it has to be within that police department or an outside entity that monitors them. And that's all it's got to be, because we need them there for us. We need them there to keep the peace. We need them there to save lives. We don't need them there to take lives. That's for sure. And I'm here to tell you that I stand behind that, you know. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. All right. I have one more clip I want to show you guys. And then, again, make sure you remember tonight at 9 o'clock. Tonight at 9 o'clock, I'll have Dr. Porter on with us, and we will be talking about... Okay, here we go. I want to show you a video of a CNN reporter actually getting arrested. And that was just really... I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. Never seen a reporter placed under arrest. So that, to me, was unbelievable. Hold on, guys. 2 seconds. Did anybody see the CNN reporter placed under arrest?
What you've seen there, are you seeing any of the Minneapolis National Guard troops? I mean, you see all these fires just engulfing the city. Are you seeing any troops on the ground doing anything?
I am looking around right now, and I can tell you from this vantage point, and I can see and it just collapsed. There you go. The building just collapsed in the midsection as well, and you hear even some cheers of people, again, who are watching in awe. But as we watch that, there are no National Guards members here.
Okay, so you see that building on fire? I believe that's the library. I think that's the library, and then another building there.
There is no form of first responders here on the ground in this part of Minneapolis. No police officers. Oh, fireworks right next to us. No police officers. No firefighters. No National Guardsmen. So wherever they've been called, they have not been called into this area, it appears. And when you look at this building, they have completely given up on this. This building will likely collapse. And when you take a look at, as we just pan over just a little bit, you see how much on fire that building is. You look over to the right, that's a liquor store that was completely blown out and set on fire yesterday, completely. And then you look over this way under the trees, if you're able to see, that is the police precinct, completely charred and burned out. And I won't be able to take you.
By the way, this is the reporter who was placed under arrest at 5 a.m. See the time on this? 4:05 a.m. Central Time. In another hour, that's the same reporter right here that's reporting this is placed under arrest, and I'll show you that next.
All the way around the corner, but all those buildings are completely destroyed. On top of, you see the auto zone, what used to be the auto zone, burned here. By the time this week is over, this entire neighborhood of Minneapolis, near where George Floyd had some of his last moments, is going to look like an absolute war zone.
All right, let me get to the next one. Hold on a second. I put that up here. Give me 2 seconds, guys. There it is. Darn it. I guess I don't have it. Give me 2 seconds. I'll find it. Give me 2 seconds. Urban Explorer, thank you for coming in. Loves NY. We'll work on whatever's going on there. I promise. Mel, good to see you. Sandra Beatty, thank you so much for joining. Give me 2 seconds. I saved it, and then we're going to end it. We're going to end the stream. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Order arrested. Where is it? Gosh darn it. All right, let me just Google that so it will come up. Always a technical difficulty. CNN reporter arrested. Yeah, and that'll come right up. All right, here it is. This is difficult to watch too, but let's watch it. Did anybody not see that? Why won't it come up? They block that? Did they not? We're going to get it. We're going to get it, guys. Okay, I got it. I got it.
We can move back to where you'd like. We can move back to where you'd like here. We are live. Why are you arresting us?
They need to be under arrest.
And just what Omar was saying and listening.
This is not the whole thing. I want you to see the whole thing. Shit. Hold on. This is important to see this. Let's see if this is it.
You can move back to where you'd like.
Why is it just a piece
of it?
Move
back to where you'd like here.
Trying to get the whole thing, and then we're going to end it, guys. I wanted you to see how they marched in and they arrested some girl. Frick, can I find that? Saved it. Protest spread wide. It's pissing me off because I watched it before I went live. Okay, he's released from police custody. So he got out.
Hello again, everybody.
But I want to see I want you guys to see the whole thing. You're welcome, deductive reasonings. I'm trying my best to get this. Even if you use fake 20, yeah, I mean, you guys are talking about this. So here he is talking about.
Well, we saw a lot of it play out on TV. There seemed to be a little bit of confusion as to what was supposed to or what was allowed to happen. Now, well, as we were reporting, we had been in verbal contact, at least it seemed, with some of the police officers saying, all right, where can we be? We had heard, we played some of it as they were giving out commands for people to clear the area. And we saw
this is the reporter who was arrested.
Cleared out. And that, of course, came after there was an hour and a half, or at least where we were standing, where there was no sort of police presence. So as people came down, we saw them walking down the block.
Hi, Mama Bear. Thank you for joining.
Not, we wanted to make sure we were out of the way. So we basically stepped onto the corner is where we were. And I think the moment before the arrest actually happened was we saw at least one protester or at least someone who was not.
That's what I wanted to show you.
Sort of run past us, and that person was cornered by State Patrol was the main.
So there he is being put into custody as a news reporter.
And after that person was apprehended, they then turned toward us. Now, and that was the first moment I can say that police had gotten behind us. So in a sense, we were sort of surrounded by state patrolmen and it seemed like Minneapolis police officers as well. But again, it was that moment where all of a sudden someone runs past and they're already on edge based on the absolute destruction that's all around them. And that arrest happened just right in front of the Minneapolis 3rd Precinct that, of course, went up in flames last night.
Omar, I'm not sure you know this, but our cameras were not only rolling the whole time you were taken into custody, but the cameras continued to roll, frankly, for the entire ride to the precinct. We could see the picture for the whole time. First of all, let me just also say, Omar, what an amazing job you did throughout that. Your composure and your ability to keep your cool is a testament to your professionalism, which we already knew about by how great of a job you were doing covering the story on the streets there. You and your team did a terrific job. Now, what we did not hear, even though we saw the transportation, is from the moment you were led away until the moment you were just released. So can you please tell us what took place while you were in custody?
Well, everyone, to their credit, was pretty cordial after that happened. So it seemed, I was actually talking to the officer that was leading me away. I was like, hey, man, we're going to be out here for the next few days. What is the guidance of where we should be? If you don't want us that close, where should we be? Because we were under the impression that that was okay. And he said, look, I don't know, man, I'm just following orders. So I don't know who was potentially, giving that order in that particular moment. But as far as the people that were leading me away, there was no animosity there. They weren't violent with me. We were having conversation about just how crazy this week has been for every single part of the city.
Thank you
And
for
like I
watching,
mentioned, a lot
everyone.
of these
Thank you,
people
Lewis.
are on edge. And as we were walking by, we saw a person on the edge of sort of the perimeter that they had formed. And this wasn't a protester. This was just a random, it seemed, citizen who was saying, hey, I need to get back into my place over there. And where were you when this neighborhood completely got destroyed? I mean, we saw where they were. They were in the middle of what became a focal point of anger, passion, violence, even at times. And they were forced to retreat. And then this morning, literally within a matter of minutes, we saw all of them swarm back in, clearing out these protesters from the city level. That's we saw the fire department and police department come in, and then the state patrol was advancing as we were seeing up that street toward our location. Now, where we were standing, basically to my right was where all the protesters were outside or in front of the building that was on fire, and then to our left was where they were advancing. So there seemed to be a little bit of confusion.
Scene of what you've just endured for the past hour. Can you tell us what happened?
Well,
all right, guys. So I just wanted you guys to get a look at that. Darren, Dr. Porter and I will speak about that tonight. I'm going to end the broadcast, but I want you to know this is a statement that I posted, that a friend of mine posted in on his social media. Actually comes from Darren's and a bunch of fellow police officers. Lab 15, thank you for joining. Boxing MMA from Ireland, welcome in, my friend. Thank you, Gary, for joining. So again, I just wanted to show you that CNN reporter that was arrested early this morning in over in Minneapolis. Cheryl Flowers, thank you for loving the shirt. Sasha Johnson, thank you for being here. Laura Bruno, great channel. Everyone go check her out. Winky Whispers, thanks for the help. Joshua, thank you for being in here. Never saw anything like that either, Joshua. What was he arrested for? I was trying to get to the bottom of it, but we'll talk about it tonight. I got to leave something for tonight. Hello, Glara. Good to see you. Definitely a sad day in our country. Very, very, very disheartening. All right, so I'm going to read to you guys a statement and then we'll close it out. I am a retired New York City police officer, detective, police officer from the New York City Police Department. What that police officer did was indefensible. There is no way any good police officers can justify his actions or inactions of the other 3 police officers involved. What happened to Mr. Floyd was not acceptable at all. Those police officers do not represent all of the good police officers throughout the world. They do not represent me or any of my fellow good men and women who represent the police department. I and all good police officers represent courtesy, professionalism, and respect. The goal is to flood all of your social media with positive photos of good police officers of all races who care: black, white, Hispanic, Asian, etc. Police officers of all races should be upset and bothered and embarrassed by the actions of those police officers in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hashtag George Floyd. And that is coming out of my police groups and all of the great police officers who are there to put their lives on the line for you and me. I am a civilian now, but I did do the job. So again, that's the sentiment from us good police officers. We are disgusted and disgraced, and we're here to talk about it. If we were silent, then you guys could have probably a lot of bad things to say about us, but we are here to speak about how strongly we disagree with what happened and how outraged we are. And we, all of us, I want change. I want not just talk. I want action on behalf of the people who represent the police department, the states, the feds, the locals. They all need to do better. We need to do better. All right, guys, God bless the world. God bless the United States. And God bless each and every one of you. I thank you. And I honor you guys. And I respect you guys. I respect the active engagement in the comments, the active engagement in the conversation that we're having here. Because for us to get by and to get better and to get past this, we need to talk about it. So look for more of these type of broadcasts from me. Tonight, 9 p.m., special guest, Dr. Darren Porter, retired NYPD lieutenant. He was a boss, and he was in charge of making sure things went right with his police officers. And we'll talk to him about that tonight, and we'll pick his brain apart. So, guys, look for that, 9 p.m. Eastern, love and respect from DutyRon. I'll talk to you on the next one.